And this tiger attacks as well happens in this human use landscapes rather than inside the forest. Moving to the discussion of this presentation, these artificial water holes can support wildlife retention within the protected areas during dry seasons, and their effectiveness in reducing SWC appears highly context dependent. And this strategic placement of water holes may help reduce wildlife inclusions into agricultural landscapes. And however, indiscriminate installation without ecological planning may alter ecosystem dynamics. And long-term monitoring and by limiting this wildlife movement outside the reserve boundaries. However, this ecological trade-off must be carefully evaluated. As I said, this transmission of disease can occur, and site-specific planning and GIS-based monitoring and adaptive management are necessary for effective long-term implementation.
Thank you. Thank
These
you.
are the reference. These are the references I used.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Next speaker, Arun A. Shah, spatial and socio-ecological drivers of humans, sloth bear conflict across contrasting landscape in India.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to talk about the spatial and socio-ecological drivers of human sloth bear conflict across contrasting landscape. As we all know that there is no single solution for human wildlife conflict, but understanding the drivers behind the conflict is very important so that we can do an appropriate mitigation measure. Next, please. Yeah, in wildlife SOS, we are actually doing almost 3 bear species of our country, including Trans-Himalayan region, Himalayan brown and black bears, and then Himalayan range Asiatic black bear in Sikkim. And when it comes to sloth bear, we have 3 different projects. One is in Central Indian region, and the other one is Deccan Plateau, and the third one is Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. So about the species, you all have already undergone. They are actually distributed in India, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. Yeah, and they are patchy distribution, and almost 85 to 90% of the sloth bear present in India. And the recent survey of Puri et al. Has confirmed that 52% of the land area is occupied by them, and they were absent in high mountain of Himalayan, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, and northwestern deserts of Rajasthan. And in IUCN Red List, they are coming under vulnerable. So the objective of this project is to collect, we have collected the Forest Department data of almost 10 years from Mahasamund division of Chhattisgarh, and the similar 10 years of data collected from Daroji, Godakate, sloth bear sanctuaries from Karnataka. And we have recently started this Nilgiri project, so the data collection years were only 5. The objective of to study the bear conflict, all the forest division, and especially to assess the sloth bear conflict hotspot mapping. So this is the important objective of this, and also of course to assess the reason of the conflict and the recommendation for appropriate mitigation measures. So coming to the key drivers, apart from all these habitat fragmentation, seasonal fruit scarcity, and lack of public awareness, these 4 main drivers were actually organized by us. One is this habitat encroachment because of various developments and mining, quarrying, and easily available food sources, especially crops, temple areas, and garbage waste and livestock depredation. And property damage is grocery shops, liquor shops, and food storage areas, chocolate, sweet factories, and especially recently we have captured a bear from a Kurkure factory in Hospet. And the last one is the people entering into the forest for all these minor forest produce collection. So coming to the central India, a place called Mahasamund division, Chhattisgarh, we have done this survey, collected this data and analyzed, and they were primarily rich in natural resources like oats, and the forest is something like tropical moist deciduous, tropical dry deciduous, and tropical dry thorn forest. And wholly occurring species, they are widely occurred in protected area, and we have found them in territorial forest division as well, but they were also occurring in outside the protected area. the area, especially Marwahi Forest Division, has got 23 sloth bears per 100 square kilometers, which is much more than the national average of bear density in is about 12 per 100 square kilometers. And this is the landscape looks like in the monsoon, and this is again in the summer season, and it is dominated with salt, teak, acacia, and terminalia species. And the anthropogenic factors, as we all know, that this non-timber forest produce leads to these kind of bear animal conflict, and they were actually collecting mushrooms, and they were high in protein. And when it comes to tendu leaves, the dry season, they will be actually putting fire on this area and then trying to collect this tendu leaves, but which will not affect, which will affect a lot of termite formation, and also these fruits were again eaten by they are the food source for the sloth bear as well. So that leads to a major conflict, and you know this Moa is an Indian butter tree, and the state's major revenue comes from this. So that is a major concerning issue, and it includes habitat protection, habitat management, death due to sloth bear, and reliability related to this sloth bears. And all over the conflict cases, it was around 154, and out of that 123 cases were from sloth bears, and you can see average 12 cases per death. And when it comes to the season, April and September it will be more. In April it is because of NTFP collection, and in monsoon it is because of mushroom and crop protection, because the farmers used to protect the crops because of their garden crops and groundnut maize, and they get into conflict. And the human bear attacks primarily in Mahasamund and Pitora we recorded more. And when there is an interesting human influenced bear behavior in this particular temple called Mahabara Chandimada temple. You can see the people were feeding soft drinks to the bears, and anytime when they stop, it may become a conflict. So when it comes to Deccan Plateau, next please. Yeah, when it comes to Deccan Plateau, again high quality sloth bear habitat, and natural caves are many. And in Daroji and Kodaikote, you can see the 83 square kilometer of Daroji space, and then the double the size of this Gudakote, a dry deciduous forest, and the landscape looks like this. And there are a lot of threats to the sloth bear habitat, ritual hunting and illegal mining and quarrying happening. The anthropogenic factors like the country-made bombs got exploded in the mouth, and which were targeted for wild boars, but unfortunately many other animals become a victim of this. And crop damage in Daroji is relatively less, and when it is really on a drought season, it has become more. After that, now it has become 1 or 2 human deaths once in 2 years. When we are comparing that to Gudakote, it has become a linear forest, and then you can see the numbers have been increasing because these bears have got very little space to go and then hide. And because of constant crop raiding, people are not even documenting it or reporting it. So that is how it has become a normal phenomena for the people, and the coexisting is happening very nicely.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, the last 2 slides. So the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve is like this, and it is like again 5,520 square kilometers. And here again the major threat or the drive is the tourism and developmental activities. Feeding movement, denning of these bears were really not predictable. And in the last 2 years of data, the land use changes, and even this poor waste management leads to a lot of conflict. And then you can see here the garbage visiting site and the conflict is almost similar in this graph, and then an average of more than 49 cases a year it is happening. And in this you can see that multiple reasons are there, especially the residential house. The last 2 slides, the house. But the red circles are really important because it is going to Anganwadi and then the school premises, which may be a potential threat in future. You can see this sloth bear victim attacks, but primary attacks happens in the fringe of the forest, followed by inside the forest. Only then it comes to agricultural land. So we do a lot of how to survive safely in the bear country, kind of both vernacular and English avoidance behavior awareness programs. And we do have a documentary called Living with the Bears. It's available in the YouTube, and it is primarily to protect ourselves from the bear encounters, bear encounter. And we do a lot of capacity building and teach people and stakeholders how to avoid the bear conflict. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anil Arun A. Shah. Okay. So with this, we have completed technical session 2. Sorry for the delayed completion.
With the successful completion of the oral presentation session, we extend our sincere gratitude to our respected chairperson and co-chairperson for this session. And I request Dr. Vijay Kumara, Chairman, Department of Wildlife and Management, to honor our chairperson and co-chairperson. I request Dr. Shweta ma'am to kindly occupy the seat. So we now begin the technical session 4 and discuss the emerging technologies in conservation and habitat management. As technology continues to transform conservation science, innovative tools and modern approaches are playing a vital role in biodiversity monitoring and habitat assessment and sustainable ecosystem management also. With this perspective, let us move into the insightful session. So to guide this session, we have distinguished experts as our chairperson and co-chairperson. I would like to welcome our chairperson, Dr. Veeresh sir, to the dais. I welcome Dr. Somsekhar sir, chairperson of this session, to the dais. And I welcome co-chairperson Dr. Veeresh sir to the welcome sir. So I would like to introduce respected chairman sir. Dr. Somsekhar sir completed his MSc, MPhil and PhD zoology from Kuvempu University. He has 20 years of teaching and research experience. Sir is a life member of various academic bodies and also served as a member of Critical Wildlife Habitat, Bhadra Wildlife Division Chikmagaluru, People Biodiversity Registers, Karnataka Biodiversity Board Chikmagaluru region. And his research interests include fishery science, aquaculture and field biology and diversity. Thank you, sir, for your presence. And we have our co-chairperson, Dr. Veeresh S.J. He is a specialist of waste management, renewable energy, fluorosis management, organic farming, food safety and environmental biotechnology. He served as his district nodal officer for environment and district florist consultant under the Department of Health and Family Welfare, Government of Karnataka. He worked as a project assistant in a major research project of Professor J. Narayan regarding vermicompost biotechnology sponsored by the Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. He published a number of international research articles and presented research papers in international and national conferences also. We kindly welcome you, sir. With your permission, I have an announcement. So now we are moving to the poster session 3. It is scheduled from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Poster presenters and judges are kindly requested to proceed to the designated poster presentation area. The posters from TBP 69 to TDP 96. I repeat, TBP 69 to TDP 96 will be presented in the poster presentation area. Thank you, sir. Now I welcome Dr. Gururaja sir to the dais. Yes, sir. Sir. Thank you, sir. May I now request our respected chairperson and co-chairperson to continue with the session.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege and I am very happy to introduce Dr. Gururaj, my friend, to this gathering. Dr. Gururaj KV is a professor in Dr. TMA Pai Endowment Chairman in the Anuras and Acoustics and Anthropogenic Climate Changes Lab, Sisti Manipal Institute of Art, Design and Technology, Bengaluru, India. He is alumnus of Coimbatore University. He pursued his master's degree in environmental science and PhD in the same department in the year 2002. His current research is in the fields of amphibian ecology, bioacoustics, behavior, and landscape ecology. He supports a citizen science program mapping Malabar tree, toad, and frog, Watch India, and is instrumental in an in situ conservation program called Batrachium. He has described 3 novel breeding behaviors in frogs, 25 new species of frog from Western Ghats, and 2 new fish species. Gururaj sir has published more than 60 papers both in international and national peer-reviewed journals. He has recently published a paper in Nature as a co-author of ongoing declines for the world's amphibians in the face of emerging threats. He is awarded the State Biodiversity Award for Excellence, Government of Karnataka, in the year 2016, the Geospatial Excellence Award for the Frog Find Android app developed in 2014, and the Prajavani Achievers Award in 2022. So these are the very few glimpses about Dr. Gururaj. Sir, we are looking forward to your plenary talk, and his topic is to be active or to be passive acoustic monitoring techniques, visualization and analytical tools for Anuras in the Western Ghats of India. Over to Dr. Gururaj.
Thank you, Somshekar. That's wonderful. We have taken a lot of time, right? So I'm 1 hour delayed. So what I will do is, instead of talking 45 minutes, I'll talk only 15 minutes because we'll condense what we need to talk. So you know, I am going to talk about frogs. These are my PhD students, without whom I couldn't have done justice to the talk. And thanks. Okay, I have few frogs to listen to. I hope it will all come. Are you able to hear? Right. Oh, great. So you would have all heard these kind of cacophonies, right? whether it is primates like what Chetan spoke or it's elephants kind of thing, my frogs are very tiny creatures. They are very, very tiny. I don't even know whether they need to be conserved or not, but every species on earth has a right to live just like us. So that's why I think we need to conserve them. But the catch here is many of us are still trying to figure out how many species are there in India, how many species are there in Western Ghats, how many species are there in Coimbatore University. So we are just trying to figure out whether the species itself is there or not. Forget about big research. What I want to pitch today is, can we take it a step further? Instead of just talking about species diversity, can we look at frogs as indicator species, and how do we look into their sounds as an indicator of the landscape, right? So for those things, you need to understand really what frog sounds are. I will just quickly skip these things. That's how they call. Yeah. So how do frogs communicate? So there has to be a sender, there has to be a receiver. What we hear is not for, the sound is not for us. A male frog croaks to give a signal to the female frog, right? But we try to analyze in different forms. But if you seriously look into it, there is a sender, there is a receiver, and in between there are environment. So all these things matter in the frog's evolution of call. So some frogs croak at high pitch, some frogs croak at low pitch. That's what you have heard now. Some frogs have voice modulation, right? There is frequency modulation also. So how do then these frogs are trying to communicate the way they are trying to communicate? So let us just look into the vocal sac itself. Vocal sac is a chamber which actually propagates more sound. It is not straight away a balloon-like structure. It appears like a balloon-like structure, but what happens is the air that the frog gushes out of the lungs, that comes into the chamber and it amplifies. The moment it amplifies, we are able to hear that. Some of the frogs make very high frequency sounds. Some frequencies are even at ultrasonic sounds, and some sounds are very low. But we still don't know whether this is like the elephant sound. We have not gone to that level of low sounds. But you can hear anywhere between 600 hertz to something like 4.2 kilohertz kind of, right? So those are the various sounds. I will not go there. We will skip all these things. This is what I wanted to talk about. The best part is we'll go here. So we'll start listening to sound. So what I will do is I will stop my talk kind of. I will ask you guys to listen to what happens. I hope you heard something. So that was an aeroplane landing and the frogs are croaking. So this recording is done in Hyderabad airport long back, at least 10 years ago. So what's happening, the frogs are croaking and then there is a background noise. So will the animal still be able to croak if there are background noises? It is true, it is possible. But over a period of time, if you are doing the same thing year after year, nowadays it's I think 10 minutes is where the landing as well as the taking time of airport in any given airport in India, at least the larger one. So if you imagine at every 10 minutes there is a noise that can mask the frequencies of the frog sounds, what's going to happen in 10 years? So we need to really look into these aspects. So when you visualize that sound, oh, okay, sorry. You have any mic, you can put it there. Right, so if you seriously see from physics perspective, as VC has come here, I have just recognized you being a physicist. So what we are trying to look at, for me? Oh, thanks. This is good. Right. Yeah. Thanks. So what we are going to look at when we saw the image was, this is what it was. So this is the bottom panel is the spectrogram, where you can clearly see the spectral aspect of the sound, and then those smaller nodes there or the frog sounds. So over a period of time, if you start doing this, frogs are going to lose. It's the same thing, like why do we wear a muffler if you are working in an airport? Because if you keep hearing the same noise, you perhaps have to shout, right? Or you will lose your hearing ability. If you lose your hearing ability, even if you communicate, it will not be communicated. So let's go further. This you might have heard. Any idea what is this? These are cicadas. I'll quickly move. And if you plot the spectrogram for an entire day, you will start seeing a pattern, which will be in the night there are certain things like insects, frogs, blah 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 stuff. Daytime, early in the morning you have birds. Middle of the day you may not see anything because some of the species go inactive, and then again in the evening it will start coming. It is like a very cyclical phenomenon. I will not go there. I will just go to the frog world. Right? So this requires whether you have to record something with a device. I will come to all those things. So if you look at from the spectrogram, you have frogs, you have insects. Similarly, in this also. So what we have, there are 4 different kinds of insects, and there's that it's a common toad, right? If we move further, I will not show any of these things, so I will skip. I planned for all this stuff, but I have decided I will not show. So that's a frog, right? It whistles, there is a frequency modulation. Right, but if you start doing this manually, it will be very laborious task, because what we do as a passive acoustic recording, we program the devices for every 10 minutes, 1 minute of recording, 9 minutes of sleeping. So in a given day, you will have about 144 records, 144 minutes of records. So if you are going to listen to it and then try to analyze where is the species, what kind of species, what do you think, how much time you will require, right? One record will take anywhere between 5 to 20 minutes to annotate. What is annotation? You are going to mark on that and see what species are there, right? So 1 minute record requires anywhere between 5 to 20 minutes. So imagine 144 records per day, how much it will be. Imagine if you extend it for an year. So none of my PhD students want to work with me, very clear. I may be very anxious, I want to do this, I want to really see, but nobody wants to work with me because it's very laborious. And also it becomes monotonous if you start repeating the same thing over and over and over again. There are instances where they would have skipped certain records. So what we do, we need to have an automation. How do we do that? We seek the help of machine learning tools. So this is what we recently published, 2026. There is a review paper we published in Ecological Informatics. It's open access. Please go see. Thanks to one of the first author here is Shanmukha Raja. He is associate professor at Manipal Institute of Technology, Manipal. He worked in the industry for 20 years, but now back into academics. I'm proud to say I'm his co-supervisor. So he's the one who reviewed what kind of stuff we have as of now and what is the requirement. How do we have to go with sound recording, analysis kind of stuff. That's a flow there. You need to have acoustic signal. Again, what device you use, at what sampling rate, at what sampling size you have to record. All these things one needs to know before recording in the field. And then we need to do something called pre-processing the signal, where you have even before recording you have to do the amplifications and all. But once you get the record, you have to do the processing. Because in the frog world, they may be active only in the evening or maximum in the night. Why do you have to listen to the entire day sound, right? So that is where the processing comes into the picture. So we do what is called as signal denoising. So where we only consider the part where the frog sounds are, then we go for syllable segmentation, feature extraction, and finally in recognition. This is just recognition of a species. I have still not come to the diversity aspect or ecological questions. We are still there. So if you look at the machine learning tools so far, Anuraset is the one which has been developed very fast. Now latest one is the Perch 2.0. The progress has happened over a period of time. But what really required is a database for Western Ghats. This is where we are lacking. In the sense, you have technology at one side, but the ground reality has not been achieved there. So you definitely need databases to come to the analysis part. I will again skip all this stuff, will not look into any of those things. Perhaps I will stop here in saying that what we require is not just looking at the species diversity and description of species. Perhaps it is time for us to ask hypothesis based questions. What are those? Whether the species have modified to its or adapted to its locality and started croaking in that manner. For example, there are canopy dwelling frogs which croak at very low frequencies. Why is that? Because in a wooded environment, your sound will not propagate long distances if you are at high frequency. So you lower your frequency so that it transmits faster. In an open area, it could be reverse of that. So you need to have hypothesis based questions to work. You need to have standard procedures to record. Not only that, you need to have a storage space because each file will be about 5 MB. So where are you going to keep if you are recording so much, right? We need to have all these things. I think I will end with some of these things. No, I will just skip. What I want you people, oh, no. So we did some campus phenology also because these are like you have PAM devices you will keep everywhere and try to figure out what happens. This is what it shows. I will, if you have questions, I will come back to all these things, but right now, yes, thank you very much. This is a quick gist of the kind of work we do with acoustics and analysis. Thank you. I think 14 minutes, 24 seconds.
Thank you, Gururaj sir, for your wonderful talk, and you have explained your research findings.
Yeah.
So the audience have many questions in their mind. I will take a couple of questions. Please
Sure.
ask questions. Any questions from
I know we couldn't have gone there because I skipped a lot of stuff. Any questions, please feel free to ask. This is a new trending world. Everybody wants to put a recording device, want to record. Whether you want to go actively into the field and record, or you keep a device and come back and record and analyze. This is an active field. You need to know whether it is bird, it is frog, it's animal, or even for conservation perspective, saying that there are some of the things that's happening in the field. Like someone is cutting the wood, you can have that sound and you can point it out. Oh, this is where the wood is being cut.
Hi.
Yes, Kumara. Yes, please.
When you do automation
Yeah.
and automatically picking up the calls,
Yeah.
what extent it will pick up the signatures?
Oh, wonderful question. Yeah. So passive acoustic monitoring devices are hardly 10-meter radius. Beyond that, it will not pick. So you need to know where you are putting your device. But nowadays, with the MEM microphones, it's a bit sensitive so that you can extend it for another 5 meters, not beyond that. So MEMs are the new kinds of mic that you have in your phones also, the same mic. Yeah.
When you have a entire night set of a data, then you have to pick up the calls.
Yeah.
Obviously, manually you cannot do it.
Yeah.
So then you have to have some kind of a app or some kind of a
Correct.
thing that it has to pick
Correct,
up.
correct.
Because in birds, people are trying so much, but success is only 70%.
Correct,
We
correct.
lose still 30% of our data.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And what is your
Yeah. So compared to birds, frog world is much simpler because these are repetitive calls. So in bird world, they are voice modulated, right? You will have, but in frog it is tar, 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 tar. So you can use this as a preliminary kind of thing. Even for that, the database is the key challenge here. So the frog that we think, Ravachestus, one of the species, what we think in Karnataka may not be the same if you are going south or if you are going to northeast. So that's why Anura set, when it was developed, it's only for Brazil. So when it comes to India, I think we need to have our own set. And people, everybody is recording, everybody wants to identify. We want those data to be kept somewhere so that you can use it in machine learning tools. It's a long way to go, but it's the starting point.
Gururaj,
Yes, please.
see, I remember I used this software way back when I was doing my PhD. One thing that I was scared of was you are speaking from a data science point of view, but to do such a kind of analysis, won't I be requiring a lot of mathematical tools like MATLAB and that and this? how is it challenging to a new UG student who is not even exposed to such kind of analysis? Of course, collecting is a laborious process, but also the analysis is the headache.
Not at all. Not at all. So if you go to the Google Colab, some of these analyses are given with instructions how to do it. The whole challenge is to annotate the species that you want. For example, if it is Nyctibatrachus joke, let's say it has a sound. What is required is how many sounds you have annotated. More the merrier here, because your machine learning process will go on sampling, resampling and feeding it back. So if your annotation is good, you are able to do it better. And all these things are nowadays very easily doable with like Google Colabs. There are GitHubs on which they have even given the codes. You never have to run any of those codes. You just have to download, but have your annotated database clear. The crisp annotated database, if you have, doing this is not a big challenge.
Can I? I
Oh,
just
please,
wanted
please.
to add to the gentleman there.
Please, please.
So this actually underscores the importance for interdisciplinary training,
Yes.
and certainly courses in mathematics and signal processing and so on, where relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really this is under
Correct,
just
correct.
saying that. Just two questions I had. One was regarding the. So I came a little late, so
Okay,
I
no.
apologize if they are.
No problem.
So if you're looking at the frequency spectrum, and you came up with a observation in the last that while birds modulate them, and we can discern the modulation. In case of amphibians, frogs, this doesn't seem to be the case. So I would say then that perhaps that is not sensitive to the human ear, but they could have modulations encoding certain signals. So you've got to look at the high resolution modulations of the spectrum. And have you done that?
Yeah.
One. The second question I have is, I'm sorry, are these actually leading to, so my naive understanding is that these have some correlation with mating calls and so on. But other than that, is there a sophisticated next level of communication that is enabled by the croaking?
Very nice.
And would you know
Yeah.
something?
So one of the key thing in animal worlds is that I will answer the second question first because that's easy. The frog, when they croak, it's mainly for breeding. It is for mate selection, or saying that I am here. And majority of the frog world, 95% of only the males croak and females listen, because it's a female-based sexual selection, right? And there are instances they have identified now 4 different kinds of calls. All those are very less compared to advertisement calls. There is reciprocal call, there is threatening call, there is release call. But the only reciprocal call is done by female. Again, it is very short, it is unlike the advertisement call. So we are not looking at the female call. Right? So all those things will come second. Even understanding advertisement call is the challenge. So that is first part. Second part is what is audible is what we are analyzing, and what the instrument catches is what we are looking at. Our sampling frequency is at 44.1 kilohertz, which is the standard kind of thing, and 16-bit. We even went up to 32-bit because the file size increases incredibly. We are not touching that. One thing that if you do it at 32-bit is that you can go from like complete silence to noisiest thing, so that you can tweak only the frog calls and do it. That's the kind of analysis we can do nowadays, compared to 8-bit or 16-bit recordings, where once the noise comes in, you don't know what to do. But nowadays, it has shifted so much that if you have a 32-bit recording kind of thing, you can do wonders with the record. But coming back, even though we are talking about automation and putting the device, I'm a field guy. I still feel you go to the field, try to understand what you are recording. If you don't know, then it becomes a machine-based process. So somebody who is sitting in front of computer, you feed everything, they will give you an output. Then you have to scratch your head what the analysis has come. It is better, like if I put it together, this question and yours together, you need to know your species, right? Without that, saying that, like it's just like camera trap kind of stuff. So what is your question, right? You may get many things in. You should know your species and do it. And camera trapping will not replace human beings. That's also a wrong notion. Saying that, oh, if you keep some 200 camera traps, will it help in conservation? I doubt. It's the same thing with our devices. We need to know why we are keeping it there. And our radius is also about 15 minutes max. So what is that we are trying to do? That's all.
Sir,
I hope
I have one question, sir.
Please.
Sir, in your study, I seen that you were describing the relationship between the call and other frogs. Okay, you are showed the relationship, but have you have any relationship about the environmental parameters and the frog?
True. For example, this is a larger question. Sound will not be produced, or sound is produced because it needs a medium, right? Sound, you can't put sound in vacuum. You need a medium. And how a particular frog which is sitting on tree try to croak from there, because it's the adaptation. So you have evolved in a space where it is better to have a low frequency, so that even woods, when they attenuate the sound, it still transfers to certain distance, right? Along with that, temperature and humidity are extrinsic factors. If it is high temperature, high humidity, you see what happens to the sound. Because it's a denser medium, right? Sound gets attenuated quicker.
Yes, sir. You were describing agent. Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, I am asking about that means male and female calling each other is okay, sir. That means I am here that when the frog is false, rain will come. These type of myths are there. That is correct or not?
And again, I am now nobody to question anyone's belief here. It can be. What I feel is it's an observation that has been translated as a knowledge. People have observed it because there is high humidity, and when the precipitation happens, frogs definitely croak because they require water to breathe. Now, if you ask me whether there is a correlation in this or not, I am not going to venture into the field of belief system. It is not my domain, and I don't want to get into controversies also. Because somebody has observed it over a period of time, and when they see that, oh, when the rain falls and the frogs are croaking, why can't make it simple? No, why you complicate life? So perhaps that's good for them. We need not have to get into that. No, it is a mating call, advertisement call. No, all these calls, the majority of the calls in frogs are advertisement calls. Because they want to say the time is set to put the eggs in water and I am ready. That's the male signal.
Guru Raj sir, good afternoon. I have a question here.
Yes.
Is there any plan like you have to come up with the citizen science initiative so that like how we have eBird to ID the frogs or to record the calls?
Correct.
Maybe in the backyard.
Correct.
Any such plans?
We have. Sorry. Go ahead.
You please continue.
Yeah, we do have citizen science initiatives. We have call records in Andbiodiversity portal. We want people to go out and record and put it there. But the whole challenge is who will do what, where, and then your effort will go in having people to glean through those data. People have sent me earlier also, there is a frog sound in this. You know how we have to detect it. That becomes a challenge. If you have a library and whatever you send, I will put through that machine learning tool and then say there is no sound, frog sound in this. But if you keep on sending me 5 minutes recording, 2 minutes recording and trying to ask what species I have, then becomes a challenge. So instead of doing that, I want people to be specific, saying that, okay, we are observing in Mysore, this is a frog call, it looks like a large one. What could be the species? It will be much better for us to figure that out. We are doing in that manner.
And really it is very certain that frogs has to be conserved.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. One more last question.
Oh, I thought I'm between lunch. I try to. Yes, please.
My question is not related to your study, but it is somewhat related to the frogs.
Okay.
So there are something called polymelic frogs, the deformed frogs which have 5 legs.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Yes.
more.
Yes.
So as I've read, they are caused by some parasite whose first host are snails.
Correct.
So these are highly visible ecosystem degradation.
Correct.
So how can conservation bodies take measures to retrain the natural flow and disrupt these disease cycles?
You asked a very tough question, but I will put it back to you. So while driving in the night, if you are seeing a frog on the road, will you stop your vehicle? right? So it's the same case, right? Some of these things are very natural phenomena. You do not have to really worry. For example, there are fungal infections in frogs, BD fungus. You can't control because it's unique to Indian environment. So what we have to do is we have to be aware. It is not that when everything goes and then we open up our say, oh, we should have. These are parameters to figure out what is happening and perhaps if there are solutions to that. But again, the entire understanding has to shift from large, big mammals. We only have to conserve tiger, elephant, come down to smaller ones. Elephant can or tiger can run if there is a fire. My frogs will just die there. Who will tell about this? So what we need to change is shift in our thinking. Instead of saying that we want to conserve, let us try to understand. The better you understand, your intervention as a human being will become less and less. You will not poke your head into saying, oh, I am going to solve this problem. You will say, I understood this problem. I think my intervention can be lessened here. I would say in that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. One more last quick question by me, Guraj.
Oh,
sir.
please.
Relevant to this session, the theme of this session. How do you relate this bioacoustic monitoring of analyzing the anuras to conservation?
Absolutely. For example, we don't know about the different land uses where we can, for example, dry deciduous forest next to BRP. We don't know what kind of species we have, right? And over a period of time, what changes are happening. For example, only one study so far is from Ithaca, which is 1900 to 1913. There was a professor called Wright who used to observe every onset of spring. He will go and record what species are croaking. And after 100 years, in 1999 to 2002, people did the work there and they figured out that 6 of those species have shifted their calling pattern. For example, this year, you know how much sweat you are losing. Like, oh, everybody is talking about increase in temperature. How many of you gone out and said, oh, I'm seeing a species which is croaking, which we didn't hear last year? We didn't do that, right? So if you are able to do it regularly for about 10 years, climate change is not 4 days, 5 years, 10 years phenomena. It is decades of phenomena, right? Like 3 decades minimum you need to know to say this is what is happening. So how do you do that? By recording it continuously and figuring out, okay, Jan of this year and 30 years down the line, Jan of that year, what is the difference? So acoustics is going to help you there.
Thank you, sir.
If there are shifts, yeah, thank you.
Guraj, one question. Climate change, sorry.
Thank you, yeah.
Any work has been done on the frogs, especially whatever the frogs that we have studied. They are very, very sensitive to temperature, especially climate change and
correct.
This year also we have experienced. So any work is there?
Yes.
Studies have been done on this?
Yes. So one of the frog is the Indian bullfrog, which turns yellow during the monsoon, right? With the onset of monsoon, they will all be yellow. They are the largest frog in India. They make low frequency sounds. Body is related to frequency. So what happened last 2 years, Taukte had come and there was before Jad. These are the two cyclone effects we had. So in the mid-May itself, it rained and these frogs started breeding. And next 15 days, there was no rain. So what happens is when they bred, the eggs has to be in the water. So since there is no water after that rain, so they all died. So you have a shift in the breeding kind of. So next generation, you will have less number of individuals coming in.
Heat waves and even just 1 degree.
1 degree, yes.
It will die.
It will.
Thank you.
But requires a lot of studies. It's my one observation may not suffice saying that this has the shift. You need more observation.
Sorry, it's really interesting what you're saying.
Sure.
No, so I want to ask you something which is said in just this thing on Kupa Manduka. Now, when you're referring to a frog in the well, the assumption, I think it has come from a belief that frogs never leave the well. Adu hauda? No, I'm asking you seriously because, you know, is it the case that once you get into the well, you stay there forever, or do frogs
you do stay
jump out? Oh,
you stay for long because they have sight fidelity. So you can go back to field, you can actually mark the frog, you come back after a week, they are there, exactly there. So they won't move, only tadpoles move. So when they breed, when they rain, the tadpoles move, even though frogs move, but it's not so much. So you can go back and refer to, oh, this individual I saw, Mr. X, Mr. Y. You are still sitting there, kind of. You can do that. In toads, in some of the toads, they move for 16 kilometers, but it all depends on the condition. Indian common toad is also a widespread species. You can see it in Himalayas, you can see it in Trivandrum also. They were able to adapt to even very low water conditions, so that they move. But some of the frogs which are endemic, they will not move at all. Even weeks after you go back and see, they are same individual. Sorry, I took a lot of time.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Guraj sir, for a wonderful presentation.
My pleasure.
I request the organizing committee, Professor Vijay Kumar sir, to facilitate our own person. Please, sir.
Sorry guys, I rushed my talk, but it's fine, I think.
So now we will break for a lunch. We'll start the session at 2 o'clock, exactly half an hour. I request all to be here back. Thank you.